This lesson is about if and when sentences. For reference, see your study box on pages 174 and 175. You use when if you want to describe something that is certain that has happened, is happening, or will happen. If you look at the examples, you will see exactly this case. When I arrived back home, Sandra was no longer there. Somewhere in the past, you have arrived home, and at that moment you notice that Sandra was no longer there. In the next example, you can have a drink when we get to Julie's place, not now, when you're driving. We see two tenses. One is the future, you can have a drink when we get, and not now when you're driving. In this case, it is clear that you offer the person sitting next to you a drink in the future, namely when you get to Julie's place. This is a certainty. It is also very certain that that person cannot drink right at this moment when he or she is driving. And in the final example, they will come when I call them. It is clear that you are certain that those people you are going to call will come. You use if it is uncertain that something has happened or will happen. You cannot use if to describe something that is happening right now. If you look at the examples, he'll be here soon if he caught the 11:30 train. You do not know whether that person you were talking about caught the 11:30 train, but if that person has done so, he will be here soon. In the second example, if I manage to get to Argentina next year, I'll come and visit you. You are uncertain whether you will have the money or the time to go to Argentina next year. So once again, you use if to describe that uncertainty. When talking about general truths and scientific facts, you can use either if or when. In the examples, you can see this very clearly. If you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils, means exactly the same as when you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. There is absolutely no change in meaning, so you can switch between if and when, but only if you're talking about scientific truths or facts, because everybody knows that water boils at 100 degrees. Equally, everybody knows that you die if you don't drink water. And also when talking about general truths, like you get wet if you stand in the rain. Everybody knows this. If you want to describe a probable future result, so you are not certain that something will happen, there is a simple construction you can use, namely if plus a simple present, and then after the comma, will or can plus an infinitive. In the examples you can see, if you study hard, your English can improve. If is followed by the simple present study, and then to indicate that this is about the future, you use can plus an infinitive improve. The same goes for if I get enough sleep, I will feel better. You do not know for certain that you will get enough sleep, but if this is the case, you will feel better. If you want to describe an expected future result, you use when plus the simple present, and then after the comma, will or can plus the infinitive. So this is the same as in the if sentences, only to describe something that is certain. So when I get my degree, I will become a doctor. You can see you are sure you will get your degree. And when we go to France, we can go wine tasting, means you are absolutely certain that you will go to France, and that then there is the possibility of you going wine tasting. And now for rules only applying to if sentences. If you want to describe something that is theoretically possible to fulfill, with which you mean that the construction following if might be achieved in theory, you also get again a simple construction, namely if plus a simple past, and then after the comma you get would, could or might, to indicate a possibility plus an infinitive. If you look at the examples again, if I studied, I would pass the exam. This means that if you are going to study really hard, you will pass your exam. If you met Johnny Depp, what would you ask him? It might very well be possible that you will never meet the actor Johnny Depp, but if this were the case, you would describe it like this. If you met him, what would you ask him? Again, in the next example, if you were nicer to him, he might lend you the money. You are describing a theory. If you are nice, he might lend you the money. The theory here is that he will lend you the money if you are nice. If you want to describe something that has not happened in the past, you use if plus a past perfect, and then after the comma you get would plus have plus the past participle. Look at the example for clarification. If we had gone out earlier, we might have got to the cinema in time. Had gone is the past perfect, which you know from your grammar classes last period. Might is the past of may, which you could also use instead of would. Could is also used instead of would. And here you see that the person talking has not gotten to the cinema on time because they did not leave early enough. Also, for example, you have bought lottery tickets in the past. If I had won the lottery, I would have bought a plane. But however, you have not won the lottery, meaning you could not buy that plane. Finally, here are two links to pages with grammar exercises. The first link, you can test whether you know when to use if or when, so slides 2 and 3. And in the second link, you can test your knowledge of the construction of if sentences. Good luck!